Okay, so back again, I'm gonna talk about the equipment for nail trimming, the few different things I use in different cases, and I'm gonna talk about a way how you can get a hold of the toe and the toenail to stay safe. We're gonna look at the line where you're gonna be able to make the first cut and how you make the second and third cut, etc. And then you're gonna be able to practice on cashew nuts at home. And I think let's get to it. So the first and most important thing is to figure out the size of the nail clipper you're gonna use. It depends on the doggy's nail width and that how thick the nail is. In general, for about 60-80% of the doodles, I use the small one, believe it or not, and this one is a cat nail clipper. It's a scissor type cat nail clipper. No, it's a plier style, sorry. And this one is, no, let me start again. So this one is the plier type, because when you open it up you work with like a plier, and this one is a scissor type, like works as a scissor, and this one is also a plier type, but you're gonna see that the head is different. We're gonna talk about it later on. So once you figure out how thick your doggy's nail is, then you're gonna be able to decide whether the small one will be enough, and most of the cases this is, and I'm gonna include a link to this one because I've checked out many on the market and most of them are super dull or fall apart in no time. So this one is very sturdy one. I'm using this forever. You may need to get some rings to adjust to your fingers, but it does worth it. So in case the doggy's nails are thicker, then you're gonna need a bigger clipper like this one, so you're gonna be able to get a bigger portion off of the nail. Now I'm definitely not suggesting to use anything bigger than this, and I'm gonna also include a link to this one. This is a medium size in the Safari brand, and the big one is a ginormous one. You're never ever gonna need that one on Doodle. Another thing, this one doesn't have this tongue thing or flap or whatever they call it, and I highly recommend to remove it out of the way. The reason for they keep it here is they label it, they call it safety, but in my opinion it's more dangerous to use it like that. This little things is good for not cutting the whole nail off in case the doggy kicks, but there are way more safe techniques to keep the doggy safe from cutting off the whole toenail. And in those techniques, and I'm gonna talk about those, are way more comfortable and way more safe, because whenever you are doing the nail clipping, you're gonna be able to see what's going on underneath, and in case you're using the little flip, then you're not gonna see that precious information and you're gonna hurt the dog. 99.9% chance. So we figured out two things: the size of the nail clipper, and that you need to remove the flip or the tongue from the way whenever you're doing it. Now let's get comfortable with other two nail clipper types. So when I'm using this little thing, this is a human nail clipper, as you can see. You can adjust this to like that, so it's gonna be like bouncing back whenever you're using it. So I'm using this in cases whenever the nail curls back, like you saw it in a previous video where I had those 9 nails on the wall, and I was talking about the one, the last one where the nail curled back and the little hole here was itty bitty, very tiny. Whenever it curls back and there is no room for the nail clipper, the regular nail clipper, to fit in here, you can see it fits in here, but there are cases when they won't, then I use this one. Now you need to know that whenever you're using this one, you really need to be very, very cautious and mindful, because this end is super sharp. Just by poking the dog, you're gonna cause injury and you can make the doggy's skin bleed. And whenever you are using pressure, you can also squeeze together a piece of skin, and you can seriously cut a dog with this. So you have to be very, very precise whenever you're using this one. I'm going to include a video. It's just a quick talk about which cases I'm using it and how mindful and patient and precise I need to be using this one, and be aware of all the sides and the tip of the clipper. So it's great for those cases. You really have to have a very still dog for working with this, because this is getting closer to a surgery type of thing where you can really hurt a doggy, but you can give them a huge relief in case you know how to use this. On smaller doggies where the plier and scissor type of things won't work, I use this nail clipper in the same situations like the other one, but with tiny nails. For smaller nails, like I would use this one in case it would fit in here. Whenever there is a tiny circle in here, I would use this one, and I go tiny by tiny and I clip it away, and sometimes I just clip it, the half of it, and this will just pop off, and then I will cut the other half. So again, you can hurt the doggy big time in case the doggy is wiggling or moving. So I suggest to use these two for very, very experienced people who do not hurt the doggies with these, and who are working on doggies who are very, very still, working and get some help to make the doggy very still. So another thing about comfort to keeping the doggy comfortable is, by the way, this is a piece of clay and the cashew nut embedded in there. So then another thing I really want to talk about is why the doggies are uncomfortable with all of this. It's because most of the time because of discomfort because they're not comfortable in the environment, they are not comfortable with you being around, with your smell, your personality, the way you walk, the sound you make, something like that. Or be you touching the doggy or lifting some the legs up or something. So that's one reason. The other reason is more related to nail clipping itself, that we use a technique when we put a lot of pressure on the horny tissue, and whenever we do that, the softer tissue gets squeezed underneath. That doesn't necessarily mean that we are cutting in the doggy's softer tissue deeper in there, but they can feel the sensation, the pressure, the pressing sensation, and they will try to let you know, like, hey, you are working very close, or I'm super afraid that you're gonna cut me and it's gonna hurt. And especially in case it happened in the past, then the dog will be very desperate to let you know, from gentle wiggles to hardcore biting. So keeping in mind that we want to keep the doggy safe, we don't want to cut off the nail, not even when the doggy kicks, and that we want to avoid putting pressure on the sides of the nails. The location, the positioning, how we cut the nail, the most comfortable way for doggies is, and I'm going to show it to you with this one because it's going to be more appropriate for this nail size and you're going to see it better. So first step is removing the tongue, so I'm going to be able to see through the clipper. And the second one is that I'm positioning the clipper either this way or that way. Because of the tongue here, I would prefer this way. But I also suggest to remove the tongue permanently, because you never ever going to need this with this method, and you're going to keep your doggy 100% safe. So, and in case you remove it, you don't have to worry about it being in the way, because sometimes it gets stuck or gets too close to the toenail, so, and the paw pad, so it's gonna be just in the way. So anyways, I'm gonna show it to you this way. So you are gonna make cuts, especially the first one, this way. So how you can memorize this. So the toenail is this way, and we're gonna work diagonally like that. So the clipper and the toe bone, the bones in the toe are gonna make 90-degree here, like that. The reason for that is because the nail is structured the way that it's the hardest on the top, and it's pretty hard and thick. Hardest and thickest on the top, and it's pretty thick also on the sides, but it has a lot of soft tissue in the middle. So whenever you are putting the two sides, in case you were cutting the nail like this, you were putting the two sides and it would squeeze the two sides together. So that way the doggy would get anxious most of the time, and they would let you know, like, hey, stop it, I don't like that. So to avoid the pressure, I put the clipper like that, and that way most of the times doggies have two little lines here, and that way the clipper can get stuck in that two little lines, and it's gonna let me come closer a little bit. So the lower jaws of the clipper will get stuck in the two little things, the two little lines here, the thinner ones, and then whenever you close on this one on the top, then it's gonna slice it very neatly and unnoticeably for the doggy, and it's gonna be super gentle, no pressure on the sides, and it's gonna be a very, very clean and fast and unnoticeable cut from the doggy's perspective. So since this doggy nail is my demo, I'm gonna use this little toenail to show you to show you the cut. So I already marked this layer I want to cut off as the first number one cut. So this is the way I position the doggy's toenail. I put my finger on the top up here. This is and let me go through this with the toe demo here. So I put my finger running on the back, on the top of the nail, and that way I can block the chance in case the doggy will kick, because in case he will kick, I'm holding this nice and firm, not too hard. Tucky, it's okay. My dog is trying to play with me. So I'm putting my finger there, right to the tip. So in case the clipper would, in case the doggy would kick, then my finger would be in the way, and you wouldn't be able to cut the whole toenail off as if you were freestyle cutting like this. So you put your finger running through the top of the toenail, and that way you're gonna be able to make a nice and safe and precise cut, keeping the doggy comfortable. So let's see how does that look like. I position my finger on the tip of the toenail, covering up to the tip, and then I'm turning this upside down, and I'm positioning the nail clipper, and then I'm going to do the cut. And that way you're going to see that I was able to cut it to the proper length. Now whenever it's the second and the third clipping, then you're going to go from the side, because in case you were going the same way, you would put pressure on the sides, and we don't want that. So in case there is still material tissue, horn tissue up here on the front, you can go the same way, and you can do the cut like that, and that way it will be more round. In case you need to cut from the sides, then you are doing it this way, like that. Right size, left size, or vice versa, whatever it is. It doesn't matter. And that way you're gonna be able to cut the nail without squeezing the softer tissue in the middle. Now whenever you're working on the tip and the top part of the nail, then you can play around cutting it a little bit shorter than on the bottom, because the softer tissue is usually on the bottom here, and it's closer to the edge of the nail on the bottom. So whenever you need to make the quick grow back, and you don't want to cut in the quick, of course you never do one, then you would trim the top of the nail here. Let me mark it. So you would trim this part off. Come on, work. It's pretty oily. Come on. Anyways, you get the idea. Then you want to cut it this corner off, like that. So again, we open it up, you can see through your finger there in the way, so you can stop it and block it, and then you cut the top off. And that way you're gonna be able to see, actually it's more visible on this side, on the other side, that we kept the soft tissue and the sensitive part here. We trimmed off the horny tissue, so whenever the doggy is walking, then he doesn't have to deal with this little corner here, with this little corner. And whenever he's doing the everyday walking and running and digging and stuff, he's gonna gently find this little corner, making the quick grow back without pain or bleeding or anything. Now, whenever you do this little trick, it's very important to let the doggy owner know that you are in this progress, so they should not take the doggy for long hikes. Because in case it's like a 10-mile hike or something, then they're gonna file this area faster than the tissue would be able to handle it. So, or no racing with the doggy or no carpooling with the doggy. In those cases, we need to make sure that the doggy gets everyday exercise, but not excessive exercise, so the tissue will be able to catch up and repair itself whenever the doggy is filing this area off without causing bleeding. So this is the gentle way I would suggest you to practice trimming your dog's nails at home. And first I would suggest to grab some cashew nuts like I did and practice on this. And after you are done practicing trimming the nail, I would suggest to do the nail filing as well. It's very important to do because, and I'm going to include a link to this one as well, it's also Safari, because whenever we do this nail trimming, then regardless how hard we try, there's going to be sharp edges on the nail. It's not that significant here on the cashew nuts, but you're going to see a few images from real doggy nails, about real doggy nails, and you're gonna get the idea that okay, that's really sharp. Or you already may know the experience that in case you get your doggy's nails trimmed and they do not file it, then they're gonna be very painful on your thighs whenever they are jumping up for a butt rub on you. So it's very important to file your doggy's nails after getting the nails trimmed. For me, in my business, it comes hand in hand. There is no such thing like only nail trimming. Whenever I'm trimming nails, I also file them. I don't like to use nail Dremels. I'm gonna include the why in another video. So the way I like to file nails is pretty much the same like the way I like to keep them safe with the nail clippers. I put my fingers on the top to keep the nail nice and steady. And then I put my fingers on two sides, here and here, to make sure that the nail wouldn't wiggle around. The doggies really hate that. They feel that like you're gonna break it off and they will wiggle. So you make sure that you are holding the nail from 3 sides, and then you're gonna be able to file it off gently. For sensitive doggies, you may gonna need to do it only in one direction, like that, because they will go wild whenever you are doing this back and forth filing. But most of the doggies can handle even the back and forth while you are doing this triangle holding technique that you support the nail from all directions. Now you can do another trick like holding the nail like that in case the doggy prefers that position or you feel more comfortable that way, and you can file it off nice and rounded. Now in case your doggy is a little sensitive, then you can make sure that you can trim as far as you can without the doggy going wild. And then after the trimming, you can file a little bit more where there is more sensitive area, so you can make sure that you're not gonna hit the quick with the nail clipper in case you are practicing. So you're gonna see the nail layers much easier on a real toenail. So now you know the layers of the nail because of the drawings where we talked about it. Now you know the technique how to hold the nail and how to hold a clipper to keep the doggy safe. So we're not squeezing like this, we are keeping it 90 degrees comparing to the toenail or Dukla, and that way you're gonna be able to keep the doggy safe whenever you're trimming the sides. You go like that, you go like that, so it's gonna be comfortable and no squeezing on the sides again. And then you are doing the filing while keeping the nail nice and still with whatever technique you are choosing, what works best for you and your doggy, like that. So that was it about nail trimming and equipment, and I hope I see you in the next video where we're gonna see real nail trimming situations with all of the nail types we were talking about and different nail colors, so you're gonna see how safe the technique is. And I bet you're gonna see a kitty cat on my back in one of those, so check it out. I hope you liked this video. If you did, please give me a thumbs up, and if you want to see more, please subscribe, and I'm gonna be happy to keep you posted about the most up-to-date videos about nails and other grooming steps. Belly rubs your doggies. Take care. Bye bye.